fifth unit start cheyala lepote shall we start with revision 1 unit 1? What do you say?
Revision, ma'am.
Revision. You don't want fifth unit?
Ma'am, unit 1, ma'am. You just like if it would be helpful if you forward that notes of fund flow and cash flow analysis, and now we can do the unit 1.
Unit 1, sure. All of you have the same perception, Nana?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. CRs?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. D-section CS, Sahul, Jahnavi, are you there, Nana?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So shall we start with the revision, all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Unit 1, yeah. I have kept ready with unit 5. I thought you'll ask that. Not a problem. We'll just... So can you see the screen, Nana? Unit 1?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So here, unit 1 is what you have already done in your mid 1. Structure of the business, and what you need to write is, which is classified into 2. One is, we have different structures, such as we have the concept of matrix structure, we have the concept of functional structure, we have divisional structure, we have flat structure, we have tall structure. So these are the types of structures that a business have. What do you mean by business? Business is nothing but an profession that is carried on by a person in an intention to gain profits. It is exchange of goods and services in return of profits, or it's nothing but the concept of manufacturing a product or a service at a predetermined price in order to gain profits is known as a business. And such business should have a particular form in order to carry on its activities, for which we talk about the structure of the firm. And you have in notes what are the different types of structures. So what do you mean by functional? The organization will be divided into various departments based on the functions performed, such as HR department, such as marketing department, such as finance department, such as purchase department, production department, like that. Such is known as functional. Then division would be based on the divisions, such as product-based division, area-based division, customer-based division. Like this, we have a divisional-based structure of the firm. Then what do you mean by matrix? Matrix is also known as two bossism, where each employee is responsible for two bosses. One is a functional manager and one is a project manager. So this is known as matrix. And what do you mean by tall? Tall structure is nothing but having many levels of hierarchy is known as tall structure. Having less level of hierarchy is known as flat structure, or flatarchy is what we say. So it is convenient to have flatarchy. Why? Because each and every employee has equal importance and equal responsibility to share and to be authoritative in order to be more responsible towards the objectives of the firm. So this is known as structure of the firm. Is it clear, Nana, all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now going to the theory of the firm. Now theory of the firm, can you see, which are broadly classified into 5. What do you mean by theory of the firm? Theory of the firm is also known as objective of the firm. What is the purpose as to why the business have been started? That is known as theory of the firm, which have been classified into 5. The first one is profit motive, that is known as profit maximization theory. The intention here is each and every person starts a business in order to gain profits. Maximization is nothing but increase in the revenue, increase in the profits. is known as profit maximization theory, which is supported by two persons, which is the main concept of profit maximization theory. So here the concept is profit is equal to TR minus TC, and Nobel laureate and Milton Friedman are the two persons who supported the concept of profit maximization theory. It's also a traditional objective or a traditional theory of firm is what we normally say. Now coming to the Baumol's theory, what do you mean by Baumol's theory? It's revenue maximization. Here the intention is it's not the profits, but it's the revenue. Why? Because maximization of revenue, maximization of sales decides a market leader and decides the competition and decides who would be the number one. And here it's an improvisation over profits. Why? Because anyhow, by default, if you increase your sales, obviously there would be increase in the profits as well. So this is known as Baumol's theory. It's supported by Baumol. Now coming to the Maris hypothesis of growth rate, here the concept is it's not the profit, it's not the sales, but it's a growth. Growth of what? Growth of the organization. And here the growth is classified into two. There are two important concepts, that is which is dependent on the concept of growth of demand of the product and increase in the availability of the capital. So G is equal to GD is equal to GC. That is what the concept. Growth is equal to growth in the demand of the products plus growth in the supply of capital. So if there is an increase in demand, you definitely need to have more and more capital in order to meet the supply. Supply need to be met with the demand. So therefore, the concept of the growth will have two contributes, that is growth in demand of the products and growth in capital availability. And here he has identified two constraints, that is managerial constraint, availability of the managers who are committed towards the organization, then financial constraint. It's nothing but to maintain ideal ratios in order to have enough or optimal availability of finance in the organization. So this is known as Maris hypothesis. Then Williamson model of managerial utility is what the next fourth one. According to this theory, the utility function of a manager plays a very important role. Why? Because as per this, it's an improvisation of companies. So here the people, the owners are different and the people who run the business are different. And here the manager utility. What do you mean by utility here? Utility refer to? Utility ante enna? What do you mean by utility? It's satisfaction, isn't it? What do you mean by utility? It's satisfaction of managers. And how do he will be satisfied? He will be satisfied where they're able to have impact on the policies of the company as well. The next important thing is the benefits that are given by the company. What do you mean by slack payments? The perks, slack payments. What do you mean by perks?
When a slack payments, nothing but when the project is done before due date to motivate them, the managers, then the slack payment is paid.
Definitely, exactly. Yeah, and perks refer to perquisites. The non-monetary benefits given by the employer to the employee, such as a car, a chauffeur, an AC, a fridge. It's nothing but the environment that is provided by the employer to the employee are known as perquisites. So these never create a positive but avoid a negative negative motivation to the employees. Okay, so this is what the concept of Williamson.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah, no.
Ma'am, some people are trying to join. Let's allow them.
Okay, Nana. Shall I switch over?
Yes, ma'am.
So no, the last theory is behavioral theories. So behavioral theory highlights the concept of satisficing, not maximizing, but it's satisficing. In the content here, it's more improvised, and because the business faces with many situations which are unexpected. So here it's better to concentrate on satisfying but not maximizing. What do you mean by satisfying? It's nothing but with a given situation, with the best of his knowledge, with the best of the time given, and the best of his managerial ability to take the decision, how best he take the decision is what highlighted here rather than maximizing. Is it clear, Nana? This is known as and ఇది more practical. ఇప్పుడు మనం maximization అని పెట్టుకుంటాం కానీ business is unforeseen, isn't it? We face many situations which are unexpected. So here it's more improvised, more modern, and more practical. In the fifth theory that he says, satisfying is what the concept, not maximizing. And what do you mean by satisfying? Unna given situation ki, unna given paristhitulki, how best you take the decision with a given mindset, with a given time to take the decision, with a given information that is available for the manager, how best the decision is taken is known as behavioral theory. Is it clear, Nana? That is the availability of information, cognitive limitation of the mind, and time available to make the decision. So this is known as behavioral theories. All 5 theories, Nana. Is it clear, all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Theory of the firm is also known as objective of the firm. Now, what is the next concept after theory of the firm? Tarvata. Types of business entities. How many types of business entities are there?
4.
4. Very good. Sole trader, sole proprietor, sole trader, or entrepreneur, isn't it? What we say it as entrepreneurship. Sole entrepreneurship. So sole refer to single, and what are the concepts that you read here? Here you have to prepare for the features, advantages, and disadvantages. And always I tell all the students that just be perfect with the features based on which you can frame advantages as well as the disadvantages on your own. So be perfect with all the features of sole trader. Single trader refer to a single owner who manages everything, who accepts all the risk and who enjoys all the profits, is known as sole proprietor. Is it clear, Nana? Indulo em chadavali? Features. Be perfect with the features. All features with sole proprietor. What is the second one? Partnership firm. What do you mean by partnership firm? It's there in Aryashri, Nana. Sole proprietor features chakkaga ichchadu Aryashri lo. You have a Google book, isn't it? All of you? ఏనా మీరు రెస్పాండ్ అయితే నేను ప్రొసీడ్ అవుతా. మీరు ఏం చెప్పకపోతే నేను మీకే కదా చెప్పేది. ఆర్యశ్రీలో ప్రిపేర్ ఫీచర్స్ ఆఫ్ సోల్ ట్రేడర్. Is it clear? Now partnership, the second types of business entity. What do you mean by partnership firm? 2 or more like-minded join to earn profits for a predetermined profit sharing ratio, who brings in investment, isn't it? And here what is the main document that is required for partnership firm?
Partnership deed. And Partnership Act 1932, it's covered under Partnership Act 1932. And second one is partnership deed. Third important thing is types of partners. Most of you were asking why should we prepare this as it's not there in the syllabus. Types of partners is a part of partnership firm. It's not a separate concept. Is it clear, Nana? Partnership lo what you have to read? Features of partnership firm. What do you mean by partnership deed? Types of partners. There are 6 types of partners. Quickly tell me. Active partner, sleeping partner, partner by estoppel,
nominal partner,
partner by holding out, and minor partner.
Partner by holding out and minor partner. Don't get confused with each and everything. Neatly underline each and everything and write what it means, isn't it? So active, who actively, by name itself it says. And what do you mean by sleeping partner? Sleeping
who
partner
contributes but doesn't participate in offers.
Yeah, anything. That is known as sleeping partner. And what do you mean by partner by holding out, or what do you have? Sleeping partner, tarvata nominal partner. Nominal partner is just for name case. He neither contributes to capital nor participate in the affairs. Normally, the nominal partners are one who have a good business contacts, and who will appoint the nominal partner. The partnership firm will appoint the nominal partner. Now, partner by estoppel means his behavior or conduct. Estoppel refer to behavior or conduct may misguide the customers that he is a partner, and is he liable for third-party obligations? Yes. Now, partner by holding out, if a partner declares a particular person as a partner, but he is not so, if he doesn't contradict, then by default he will be named as a partner. That is known as partner by holding out. Now, what do you mean by minor partner? Minor partner below age 18. And what is the benefit that is enjoyed by minor partner?
Limited liability.
Very good, very good. Limited liability. None of these is different types of partners. And the next is the features. As I say, features chadvinappudu you can frame the advantages and disadvantages. Now, what are the advantages you can have? You can share the risk. You can share the division of labor. What do you mean by division of labor?
Work can be distributed among the partners.
Yeah, very good. And how you distribute? Best right person for the right job is known as division of labor, which is possible in partnership firm as well in the companies. Okay. So this is what you need to be perfect in partnership firm. Features, deed, meaning of partnership deed, types of partners. Is it clear, Nana? The third one is companies. What do you mean by company? Companies Act. All the companies which are covered under Companies Act 1956, maybe a company defined as a company, or a company may be of different types based on incorporation. We have chartered companies, we have statutory companies, and we have registered companies. Based on public interest, we have private and we have public. On the basis of this one, we can divide the concept of types of companies. Now, going to the next one, what do you mean by documents that need to be maintained? There are 3 documents. What are the 3 documents?
Memorandum of Association, Article of Association, and Prospectus.
Yeah, Memorandum of Association defines as the clauses. There are 6 clauses. Articles of Association defines as the rules and regulations. Then what do you mean by prospectus? It's nothing but an advertisement which defines what are the products that the company deal with, or what is the service that the company deal with. Is it clear, Nana? This is the documents that need to be maintained. Types of companies, documents to be maintained, features of joint stock company. Why I'm insisting on features? Features perfect today, you can by default frame your advantages and disadvantages.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah, Nana, chepna.
Some of them are waiting, it seems, ma'am.
Yeah. Nana, ఇప్పుడు కూడా టైం కుండరా నాన్న రివిజన్ కి కూడా. Okay, so now coming to the cooperative societies is non-profit organization. Why do cooperative societies form? Why are cooperative societies formed?
For mutual benefit of its members.
Yeah, for the mutual benefit of the members. It's not for profit motive. And if at all you have profits, you have to pay tax as per the corporate rates of taxes. And here, this is not that important. It is covered under Cooperative Society Act 1904. And it's an association of people for the mutual benefit of the members. So that is known as cooperative society. You just be perfect with the features. But mainly the highlighting concepts are sole trader, partnership firm, and joint stock company. Alani, don't leave cooperative society. Just be in a position to write. And I insist, please be perfect with the side headings. No one would have the patience to read what you have written inside. Present your answer very well. Highlight the side headings. And once the answer is over, draw a line, then start with the next answer. And write each and every answer in an order and start with the answer which you know very well. And wherever possible, draw the charts, diagrams, so that at a glance, the valuer should know that you know the concept very well. Okay. So this is all about the types of entities. Limited liability company and joint stock company are one and the same. And sources of capital. Sources of capital are classified into how many, Nana? Quickly tell me.
3, long-term, medium-term, and short.
and short term. And conventional, non-conventional ante? What do you mean by conventional and non-conventional?
Conventional, traditional, and widely accepted. Non-conventional.
Which comes under traditional and which comes under modern. Long-term
conventional comes under traditional. Yeah. Non-conventional comes under modern.
Mid-term, short-term comes under
unconventional.
Yeah, very good. And here we have. Shall I discuss, or you know all these types of finance? Shall I discuss once, or you know?
Can you discuss once?
Okay. Yeah. So here, that notes are not there in this, I think. Okay. Oral ga cheppeddamu. So here we have long term. Long term are classified into own capital. What do you mean by own capital, Nana? Own capital is the capital brought in by the owners, is known as own capital. And what is share capital? Share capital divided into two. What are those two? Preference share capital and equity share capital. And preference share capital, you have 5 types of preference shares. What is the distinction between preference shares and equity shares? As the name itself suggests that preference shares are given the first priority for what?
For the dividend to be distributed.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, for the disbursement of profit, the first priority is given to the preference shareholders, and equity shareholders are also known as ordinary shares. Preference shareholders, the cumulative preference shares and
they are eligible for arrears of dividend.
Arrears. Yeah, arrears and which have been declared but not paid is known as arrears. Now coming to the non-cumulative, these don't have right. Okay. Now participative preference shares, they get dividend twice. What do you mean by getting dividend twice? One along with the preference and one along with the equity shares. Now redeemable, getting back. Okay. Redeemable can be taken back after expiry of the duration. Non-redeemable cannot be taken back till the lifetime of the business. These are the 5 types of preference shares. And there are no types of equity, only one. And what are the 2 rights enjoyed by the preference shareholders? One is
right to get fixed rate of dividend and right to return on capital.
Very good. And right to return on capital. These are the 2 rights enjoyed by the preference shareholders. Equity shareholders are also known as what is the only right that they have? One share, one vote for voting the CEO and the board of directors. Okay, so this is known as this one. And the next one is retained profits. What do you mean by retained profits? Normally, how do the company disperse its profits? First, interest that is paid to the loans, interest on debentures, then dividends for preference shares, then dividends for equity shares, and balance to be transferred to retained earnings account. What do you mean by retained earnings account? It's nothing but an account maintained where every year the leftover profits would be transferred to retained earnings account and can be used at the times of contingencies. Now, long-term loans. What do you mean by long-term loans? What is the period of long-term and short-term? Short-term is a period. As per economics, we define short-term as 3 months to 1 year. And what is long-term? 1 year to 10 years to 20 years is known as long-term. So long-term loans, and what do the company need to pay loans? Interest. Now debentures. Debentures refer to, it's a certificate issued by the company that so-and-so person purchased so-and-so number of debentures at a so-and-so rate of interest is known as debentures. And there are 8 types of debentures. The first one is convertible debentures. What do you mean by convertible? These can be converted into equity shares. Only equity shares. Okay. They're partly convertible, out of which a part can be converted to equity shares. Non-convertible, these are not allowed to be converted. Secured debentures, security would be provided against these debentures. You know what do you mean by security? Like for example, when we go for a loan, we either give our property papers or either we give our gold like that. That is known as security. So debentures, who will provide security for whom in debentures?
The company will be
very good.
providing the security.
provides the security against the investment in the form of debentures that have been invested by the debenture holders. Now coming to the partly secured, 50% may be secured, and then unsecured are not at all secured. Then redeemable which can be taken back after the specified date. Non-redeemable cannot be taken back till the lifetime of the company. So these are the types of debentures that we have. Is it clear, Nana? Now coming to the medium term, government grants and loans is also the long term. So how many do we have in long term? 1, own capital, share capital, 2, retained earnings, 3, long-term loans, 4, debentures, 5. Then we have government grants and loans, 6. So we have 6 in long term. Now coming to the medium term. Medium term again bank loans, then hire purchase. What do you mean by hire purchase? Initial down payment, isn't it? Balance in the equal installments along with the interest is known as hire purchase. This is an option that the companies have in order to purchase a machinery, furniture, and so on, in order not to totally dead invest, rather go for hire purchase. Initial down payment and the balance in the equal installments along with the interest is known as hire purchase. Now coming to the leasing on renting. So even this in the case of for premises or machinery, where the companies go for leasing on renting rather than purchasing the machinery. What do you mean by leasing? You know what do you mean by leasing? The lessor and lessee will have a lease agreement in order to amount of lease rent as well as the period of lease and the terms and conditions regarding the maintenance, repairs, and so on. Then the venture capital. What do you mean by venture capital?
Merchant banking.
Yeah, where there is a relative high risk of the projects. Small companies will not bear such risk. So we have mercantile banks who provide such risk, and they take more percentage of profits and give less to the companies as well. They even take the director position if the investment is large. So this is known as venture capital. So we have 4 types of medium term. Now coming to the short term. Commercial papers, it's a paper issued by the company in order to raise short-term amount of finance. Bank overdraft, what do you mean by bank overdraft?
Withdrawing the money more than the balance.
Yeah, this is possible only for
current accounts.
Current accounts, yeah, very good. That is only for the businesses. Now coming to the next one, trade credit. So trade credit, what do you mean by this? Trade credit is nothing but you take the goods based on the receipt. Bill would be issued by the supplier, but we don't pay them initially. Once we do the sales, then we pay back. That is known as trade credit. Now coming to the debt factoring or credit factoring, arranging a factor between the 2 parties is known as debt factoring or credit factoring. And we provide discount and we provide commission for both in order if we are not in a position to pay back our supplier. Ante Gandana. So this is all about what? Sources of finance. Sources of finance, conventional and non-conventional. Part 1 IPN. Any issues in this? Part 1? Shall we proceed to part 2? Enana?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So here we have done with part 1. Now part 2, what do you mean by economics and what do you mean by business economics? Business economics is nothing but the application of economics in the business in the process of decision making. And economics is classified into 2, micro and macro. What do you mean by macro? Micro refer to?
Firm level.
Single firm.
At firm level, very good. Decisions taken at firm level such as demand, supply, price, and all related to a single firm is known as micro. Now coming to the macro at national level. Economics studied at national level such as national income, GDP, inflation, employment, capital supply. Ivanni kuda constitutes macroeconomics. What are the concepts of micro and macro we have discussed here. Now coming to the next concept, national income. Macro. At individual level is macro, at aggregate level is micro. And what are studied in macro? Theory of the firm, theory of production, distribution, economics, pricing. And what you study in macro, theory of income, international trade, monetary policies, employment, all these are studied at national level is known as macroeconomics. Now coming to the national income. So what do you mean by national income? The aggregate income of a country in 1 year is known as national income. The aggregate income of a company, of a country in 1 year is known as national income, which can be measured in GDP. What do you mean by GDP? Gross domestic product. And what do you mean by gross domestic product? Monetary value of goods and services produced in a country in 1 year is known as GDP, and which constitutes only the final product. What is GNP? What is GNP?
Gross national product, ma'am.
Plus net factor income from abroad is known as GNP. What do you mean by net factor income from abroad? It's nothing but foreign nationals, Indian nationals working abroad, plus Indian companies having foreign branches. So this all constitutes net factor income from abroad, which constitute GNP. And what is NDP? GDP minus depreciation is NDP. Then NNP is equal to GDP minus depreciation plus net factor income from abroad. Or we can quickly say NNP is equal to GNP minus depreciation. And what do you mean by depreciation?
The decrease in the value of asset.
Yeah. Or the machinery that becomes obsolete. That is known as depreciation. Now we have per capita income. What do you mean by per capita income? Per capita income is equal to national income divided by total population. And what is personal disposable income? PDI is equal to personal income minus personal taxes. And how do you measure national income? We have as a flow of goods and services, as a flow of income, as a flow of expenditure. Flow of goods and services, and what we do, we take the aggregate value of final products and calculate, where we have divided the major sectors into production, service. Production lo kuda we have agriculture, we have mining, we have small scale sectors like that, fisheries, large scale sector, and we add all the physical into the same to obtain GDP. So that is known as GDP based on the flow of goods and services. Then income method, the aggregate income from various citizens, which are classified into 5 heads of incomes, such as business, rental income, wages and salaries, capital gains, and so on. Okay, so this is how the income method. Then expenditure method, the amount expended. And how is it classified? Consumption, expenditure, investment expenditure, government, and net exports. Consumption is nothing but the income that is earned would be consumed, which we spend, isn't it? Either it would be spent or either it would be invested, isn't it? Investments such as in all the companies. Government expenditure to maintain the civilized society, and net exports. How do you calculate net exports? Net exports,
Imports minus exports are exports.
net exports minus net imports is known as net exports. So this is the way how you have the concepts of national income and all, and what is importance of economics, nature and scope of economics. So nature and scope of economics this is also one of the important question. So you have 8 points in nature. Nature and scope, isn't it? First, nature lo enti close to micro. Business and nature of business economics, it's close to microeconomics. Close to microeconomics, endukante individual companies' decisions would be taken. Operates on a backdrop of macroeconomics, and it and every company should operate in a country's policies. What are the taxes? What are the rules and regulations and so on? Normative statements. What do you mean by normative statements? If the prices go up, the demand comes down. Such statements would be given in business economics. Then prescriptive actions. What do you, any solution for all the problems would be provided in business economics. Applied in nature would be applied in nature by all the businesses and in the day-to-day life. Offer scope to evaluate each alternative. Business economics provides us an option to evaluate each and every alternative and take the best. What do you mean by alternatives? Make or buy decision, or you have lease or own. Okay, drop or add a product. Okay, so such decisions can be taken based on business economics. And business economics is interdisciplinary in nature. What do you mean by this point, interdisciplinary? We study many subjects, that is known as interdisciplinary. What subjects we study in business economics? Psychology, sociology, mathematics, statistics, and all. Therefore, we say it as interdisciplinary. And business economics runs based on assumptions and limitations. Like in law of demand, we have assumptions. What are the assumptions? Other things remaining the same. When the prices go up, the demand comes down. So this is an assumption. What are the other things remaining the same? There should be no change in prices of other related goods. There should be no change in income, and so on, isn't it? So these are the 8 concepts in nature of business economics. There in 1.7 RA Shri. Scope, the demand decision, input demand decision, how many units will I able to sell is known as demand decision. Input and output decision, the cost of input in comparison with output. Then price and output decision, profit related decision, investment decision, economic forecasting, and forward planning. So we have 6 side headings in scope. So this is what one of the important concepts. Define business economics, give its nature and scope. Is it clear, Nana? Nature lo 8, scope lo 6. Shall we move on? National income అయిపోయింది, nature and scope of అయిపోయింది. Then role of business economist. The role of business economist you can generally write because you have studied economics. He plays a significant role. He should tell all the possible changes in the economy, all the best things that will happen in the economy, and what are the necessary actions that will be taken, what are the changes that the company need to do, what are the various action plans that the company need to prepare. Ivanni kuda is a role of a business economist. Now coming to the inflation, meaning and definition of inflation. What do you mean by inflation? Consistent increase in the price levels is known as inflation. And we also define inflation as when purchasing power doesn't meet the price levels is known as inflation. And not one-time increase in the prices leads to inflation. It's a consistent and a persistent increase in the income level, which doesn't have the purchasing power by consumer is known as inflation. And here, this is about inflation, and we have different causes of inflation. One is excess money supply. Then demand pull inflation, where is excess money supply ante andar chetlo money ekkundi supply takku ayipotundi, that is known as excess money supply. Demand pull inflation, money it's in return the reason of above. So when you have more demand, the supply can't meet the demand, which leads to inflation. Then increase in money supply, increase in the personal disposable income. PDI ఎట్లా వస్తుందన్న, పర్సనల్ డిస్పోజబుల్ ఇన్కమ్ అంటే ఏంటి? PDI is equal to
net income,
personal income minus direct taxes.
Yeah, personal income minus personal taxes. So ఇది జనాల చేతిలో ఎక్కువ డబ్బు ఉన్నప్పుడు they purchase more, which leads to shortage, which leads to inflation. So aggregate in spending, increase in aggregate spending because more money supply, increase in population. Then cost push inflation. The other factor is when supply. The other factor is supply when the cost of production increases, which in return increases the total cost. This will force the increase in price level. Example, increase in cost of labor, raw material, and so on. So cost push inflation, reasons obsolete technology, deficient machinery, and so on. Natural calamities, scarcity of resources, industrial disputes, and external aggressions. Built-in inflation and past events result in the present inflation. So you can show in the form of diagram. So when the quantity is not increasing, to meet the supply, the demand shifts upwards, which leads to increase in the prices. ఒకవేళ మీరు demand తో పాటు supply కూడా increase చేస్తే, then there is no increase in the prices. Is this clear, Nana, the diagram? So this is all about inflation, money supply inflation. How do the government, the central bank in India is
Reserve Bank.
RBI, isn't it? And what are the other corporate banks? Or other corporate banks or commercial banks are nothing but nationalized and private banks are known as the other banks, commercial banks. So the commercial banks are affiliated to the central bank, and the central bank, that is RBI, will take necessary actions in order to control inflation. I'll just be back within 2 minutes by having water, Nana. Just 2 minutes, okay? So this is money supply and inflation. So we have two parties. One is central bank and the next one is the commercial banks. So all the commercial banks should follow the rules and the regulations that are given by the central bank, that is RBI. So what are the necessary actions or the measures taken by the RBI? The first one is bank rate policy. What do you mean by bank rate policy? The RBI increases the rate of interest that is provided to the commercial banks in order to demotivate these banks to take more and more loans. Now, open market operations, it's nothing but the commercial banks issue such securities or sell securities where all the money comes to the central bank and securities comes to the commercial banks, where the money in the hands of the commercial banks would be controlled. Then reserve ratio, reserves are of two types, that is cash reserve ratio and the statutory liquidity ratio. CRR is nothing but commercial banks need to maintain a certain percentage of reserves with central bank, and when it feels there is more money supply, such would be increased. And what is SLR? Statutory liquidity ratio. They should have certain percentage of liquid cash or in form of gold by these commercial banks. Such percentage would be increased. Then credit rationing, certain restrictions would be implied to certain sectors, selected sectors. Then moral suasion, frequently the bank requests the commercial banks not to do strict rules and regulations in order to get back the loans that are issued by the commercial banks. And if it doesn't listen, there is a direct action that is known as commercial banks would be given direct action by the central banks in order to control the activities. Then fixation of margin and ceiling. It's difference between the market value of the securities and the loan amount. So here, if the central bank feels by still it has more money in the hands of commercial banks, they increase the margin and ceiling, that is the loan amount ki security. For example, 100 rupees loan తీసుకున్నప్పుడు you should at least have a security of 150%. So such would be increased. Then deficit financing, printing of more finance or more money by the government to fill up the gap between the personal revenue and the personal expenditure. So these are the 8 points that you have in money supply and inflation. First one, band rate policy. Then you have open market operations, reserve ratio. Then you have credit rationing, moral suasion, direct taxing, fixation of margin, deficit financing. Then the last concept is business cycle. As each and every business goes on various phases because of various situations that will happen in the economy, that may be regarding the external factors or internal factors, which makes the company who have different phases of business cycle, and which would be measured in the concept of GNP, that is gross national product. And how do you arrive at gross national product? GDP plus net factor income from abroad is known as gross national product. So here, this is what we have. The first one is contraction, then trough, then expansion, then again peak, then contraction. So it can be explained in 4 phases. As you can see, it's not a smooth line. It's having different curves with loops, and it takes 3 to 6 years to shift on from one loop to other loop. And here we have different phases. Contraction, slowing down of all the business activities, the revenue would be slowed down. Then it still continues, with become depression is the last point, which leads to the next turning point of expansion. Then maximum is the peak, which leads to the second turn. Okay, you have in detail with the features of each phase is known as a business cycle. Is it clear, Nana? This is all about Unit 1. Did we miss any concept in Unit 1? Nana, please respond.
It's not clear.
No, clear no.
Yeah, we have done with the revision of total Unit 1. Now let's move on to Unit 2. So Unit 2 is an easy in comparison with the other units. So don't leave at all any concept in this Unit 2. So we have elasticity. What do you mean by elasticity? What do you mean by elasticity?
The rate of response of commodity to change in price or any other determinant.
Change in price or any other determinant of demands, and determinant of demands are classified into 9, isn't it? Now, elasticity law, we have types of elasticity and measurements. Okay. So, as I said, obviously, students get confused whether is he asking the types of measurements or types of elasticity. Types of measurement ante enni nana? We have 5. Types of measurement ante 5. Types of elasticity ante 4. Types of measurement, perfectly elastic and perfectly inelastic, will never happen in the real-time market. These are just to study the types. And what happens here? And what happens here? In the case of perfectly elastic and perfectly inelastic, in the case of perfectly elastic, any quantity can be sold without increase or decrease in price is known as perfectly elastic. And what is perfectly inelastic? Same quantity can be sold with different levels of prices is known as perfectly inelastic. Now, relatively elastic is with small fall in price, there is huge increase in quantity demanded. That is known as a relatively elastic. Relatively inelastic with huge fall in price, there is a less increase in quantity demanded. Is known as relatively elastic. Unity elasticity, when percentage increase decrease in price is equal to percentage increase in quantity demanded, then we say it as unity elasticity of demand. Okay, Nana? This is measurement. Now coming to the types of elasticity, price elasticity. Price elasticity is nothing but impact of change in price elasticity, negative or positive?
Negative.
Negative. Why? Because with every fall in price, there is increase in quantity demanded. And what is the formula? Q2 minus Q1 by Q1 divided by P2 minus P1 by P1. Q2 is new quantity, Q1 is old quantity. Yeah, P2 is new price, P1 is the old price. And here we study 3 in each: elastic, inelastic, and unity elasticity. When E is less than 1, we say inelastic. When E is more than 1, we say elastic. When E is equal to 1, we say unity elasticity. Okay, Nana?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, price elasticity lo 3. Okatemo elastic, when answer is more than 1, we don't consider negative sign, isn't it? Tarvata less than 1 ante 0.99, 0.8, 0.1, 0.3 unte inelastic. Equal to 1, unity elasticity. Okay, so this is about price elasticity. Coming to income elasticity, it's positive. Why? Because if income increases, the demand increases. What is the formula? Q2 minus Q1 by Q1 divided by I2 minus I1 by I1. Q2 is new quantity after change in income. Q1 is old quantity before change in income. I2 is the new income. I1 is the old income. Is that clear, Nana? And if you go to Modu, E is more than 1 elastic, E equal to 1 unity, E less than 1 inelastic. Okay, Nana, all of you. Income elasticity.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, cross elasticity, we have 2 cross elasticity and related goods. Related goods rendu untayi. Okatemo complementary, okatemo substitutes. So complementary, first substitutes refer to tea or coffee, isn't it? And for complementary Nana, you people said that you want first and second unit, isn't it? Now we are telling third unit. You people asked, isn't it? To discuss first 2 units. So you have law of demand here. Law of demand, you have to clearly draw the diagram. Okay. What is the concept of law of demand? When prices go up, the quantity demanded comes down. And there are 4 exceptions. When there is a fear of shortage, law of demand doesn't work. In the case of Veblen goods, what do you mean by Veblen goods? Which have a high cost. The people purchase more when prices go up to show a sign of prestige. Now, Giffen goods are known as the goods such as the staple food. Example, broken rice. When the prices come down, they don't buy more, but rather they buy better food. Now, in the case of ignorance of price level changes. So this is known as exceptional demand curve. And the prices more unnappudu you purchase less, and prices ekku unnappudu you purchase more is known as exceptional demand curve. Now, factors influencing the concept of demand. Now, factors influencing demand forecast. What do you mean by demand forecasting? Yes, then what do you mean by demand forecasting?
Estimating the demand.
Estimating of future sales is known as demand forecasting. And here,
We have factors influencing demand forecasting and we have factors influencing elasticity of demand. Don't get confused between both. First, get relaxed. What is the concept is what you just memorize, and then start with factors influencing. So demand forecasting is totally different with elasticity of demand, isn't it? Elasticity is the responsiveness of change in quantity demanded with change in price or any other determinant, isn't it? In the case of demand forecasting, estimation of future sales is known as demand forecasting. Why? Because this is the first step that is done in order to plan the factors of production. The first is factors influencing. The first is types of forecast. Is it for short run or long run? Then forecasting level. Is it for national level? Is it for industry level? Or is it for firm level? Or is it at global level? Then degree of orientation. Is it for specific or is it for general? Specific is for a particular product or for all the products? Or is it general of soaps or just one soap? Like that. Okay. Then nature of goods. Is it consumer good or is it a producer goods or is it a service and so on. Then degree of competition. Competition is divided into two, isn't it? In the next unit you have. What are the two? Perfect competition and imperfect competition. And is it for established or for new goods? These are the factors that influence the demand forecasting. Now, methods of demand forecasting. We have methods of demand forecasting. Can you see? Again, I have to download if I want to need to turn. Can you see, Nana?
Yes, ma'am.
So here, methods of demand forecasting is one of the important question in Unit 2. Elasticity, and the second one is demand forecasting, and the third one is demand. So here, methods of demand forecasting, factors influencing demand forecasting are the two that you have here. Now, methods law, you have survey method and you have sample method. Survey method is further classified into two: survey of buyer intention, survey of sales force. Survey of buyer's intention, census method and sample method. So census method is covering each and every consumer, is known as census method. It is also known as total enumeration method. Sample method refer to just you select one sample which represents the whole area. It is known as sample method. Okay. Now coming to the survey of sales force. Here the intention is the sales force would be the actual person who gives the idea of consumers' perception. So they take the data from the sales force. Sales force are nothing but the salesperson. Now coming to the next one, that is statistical methods. Statistical methods are broadly classified into 4 methods, out of which the first one is trend projection method. Under trend projection method, we have 5 methods again. What do you mean by trend? Just close the window, it's disturbing. So what is trend, Nana? Trend projection method. What do you mean by trend?
Based on the past data, the present data is
yeah. Past data would be used to predict the future sales is known as trend projection method. The first one is trend line by observation. Trend line by observation is nothing but a graph that is observed as how is the trend going on. Is it upwards or downwards? Based on the past, the same trend would be predicted for the future. Then least square method. The least square method is the formula S is equal to X plus Y into T. It's nothing but certain statistical formulas would be applied to calculate X and Y. And T is the year in which the firm is, and Y is X and Y are calculated based on the past data. This is known as least square method. Now going to the next one. Time series analysis.
Time series analysis is an formula that is applied by this, that is T plus C plus S plus E, or it's a multiplication of T into C into S and E. What is T? T is cyclic trend. It's nothing but business cycle. Age cycle only. Okay. Is it an recession, expansion, trump, or peak? Trough or peak is what the cyclic trend. Seasonal trend. What do you mean by seasonal trend? Off season and on season. Erratic trend is nothing but bumps and strikes. And the first one is a trend. It's also known as long-term trend. That is a development regarding capital, population, technology, and so on. So the combination of all these four is known as time series analysis. T plus C plus S plus E. Trend of long-term. C, cyclic trend, business phases. S, seasonal trend. E, erratic trends. Okay. Now moving average method. Moving average method is nothing but taking the average of the 3-yearly or 2-yearly based on the policy and predict the 4th year is known as moving average method. Now coming to the barometric technique. What do you mean by barometric technique? One set of data is used to predict the other set of data is known as barometric technique. Example. The newly occupied houses can be estimated to predict the new cable TV connections or internet connections. Okay, or GDP can be taken as a help to decide which business should be started. So that is known as barometric technique. Now simultaneous equation method is not one set of data is used. All the variables that are involved in one particular economy would be simultaneously considered to evaluate the sales of a company. In correlation and regression, correlation explains the relationship between two attributes, whether they are positively related or negatively related. Price and quantity demanded are negatively related. Advertisement and sales are positively related. Such is known as correlation. What do you mean by regression? Regression is nothing but whether they are independent variables or dependent variables. So independent variables such as tossing a coin. So the first incident will not be dependent on the other. Such is known as independent variables. But sales and advertising are dependent variables. Is that clear? So this is known as a regression. Ikkademo positive and negative correlation. Regression lo dependent and independent variables. So this is known as this one. Now other methods lo expert opinion, appointing an expert as he is unbiased. We hire an expert. Test marketing, we release the product only to one set of consumers with their review and feedback. We take the major changes and then release the product in the open market. Now control experiment method, we try to experiment different quantity with different prices to know which fetches more profits. Then judgmental approach, the ultimate judgment would be in the hands of the management. So they decide which method is more suitable and decide what would be the best alternative. Okay, this is some methods of demand forecasting. Then characteristics, it should be accurate, it should be simple, it should be economy, cheaper, it should be easily available, plausibility, reasonable and probable, it should be effective, it should be durable, it should be quick. 8 characteristics of a good demand forecasting system. Then you have steps. Then you have supply analysis. What do you mean by supply? When the prices go up, the supply goes up. That is known as supply. And this is a supply curve. And the point where demand and supply meets is known as equilibrium. Okay, Nana. So this is all about Unit 2. We have done with Unit 2 revision. Anything else? Do you want even Unit 3 also? Shall I stop here? Nana, please respond.
A brief overview.
In Nana?
A brief overview.
not able to hear your voice. Can you please share the notes of unit 2? Nana ivanni share chesine paatave Satvika malli share cheyala. CR దగ్గర ఉన్నట్టుంది. Okay, malli you just ping me, I'll just forward it. Okay, do you have my number?
Ma'am, from fund flow and cash flow statement problems are also important, ma'am.
Nana రావు నాన్న అవి ఇంపార్టెంట్ అని చెప్పలేము. అదొక 40% ఆఫ్ యూనిట్ 5 or 30% ఆఫ్ యూనిట్ 5. కాకపోతే థియరీ అడిగాడు ఇప్పుడు వరకు, ఎప్పుడు ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ అడగలేదు. అది హై అండ్ ప్రాబ్లమ్స్. మేనేజ్మెంట్ స్టూడెంట్స్ ఫైనల్ ఇయర్ పేపర్, అది బీకామ్ ఫైనల్ ఇయర్ పేపర్. అది ఫండ్స్ లో ఒక ఫుల్ చాప్టర్ అది. So we will not be able to learn now. I'll just forward you the theory questions. Be prepared with that theory. If at all he asks, you attempt it. If not, go for the other option. Ratio analysis we have done. It's easy, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay.
You opt for ratio. Do all possible problems and problems all in one lo nunchi anni practice cheyandi.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Inka enna anything else? All the best. Prepare well, present well. Presentation plays a very important role in the fund. Okay. Inka anything else, Nana? All the very best. And if at all possible, please scan me the question paper.
Ma'am, can we expect theory questions from unit 5?
Yeah, you can. చాలా సార్లు ఇవే అడిగాడు నాన్న. రేషియో ఫార్ములాస్ అడిగాడు. అవి పర్ఫెక్ట్ ఉండండి. నేను ఒక్క నిమిషం చూపిస్తాను. రేషియో అనాలిసిస్ లో యూ హ్యావ్ ఫార్ములాస్, isn't it? Can you see formulas?
Yes, ma'am.
ఇవి పర్ఫెక్ట్ ఉండండి చాలు. రేషియో అనాలిసిస్ ఇవి చిన్న ప్రాబ్లమ్. మీ ఫార్ములాస్ వస్తే డెఫినెట్ గా ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ కూడా చేస్తారు. ఫస్ట్ వన్ ఇస్ లిక్విడిటీ రేషియో. కరెంట్ రేషియో ఇస్ ఈక్వల్ టు కరెంట్ అసెట్స్ బై కరెంట్ లయబిలిటీ. వాట్ కాన్స్టిట్యూట్స్ కరెంట్ అసెట్స్, వాట్ కాన్స్టిట్యూట్స్ కరెంట్ లయబిలిటీ. ఇది ఉందా నాన్న మీ దగ్గర? పీడిఎఫ్ ఉందా? ఇవన్నీ రేషియోస్ చదువుకోండి. ఓకే, ఇవి చదువుకుంటే చాలు. ఆర్ యూ జస్ట్ టెల్ మీ, ఐల్ ఫార్వర్డ్ ఇట్ నౌ ఇట్ సెల్ఫ్. ఎవరిదైనా మెయిల్ ఐడి చెప్తున్నాను. ఎనీవన్ టెల్ యువర్ మెయిల్ ఐడి. అండ్ ఇది ఇంకోటి అలాగే ఇది కూడా ఫార్వర్డ్ చేస్తా. ఒక్క నిమిషం. ఫండ్స్ ఫ్లో, క్యాష్ ఫ్లో. Even this I'll forward you. And please share to A section also, all of you. Okay. Nana, anything else? A PDF, Hemant. Which PDF you want? Problems in Unit 4. Satvika, problems in Unit 4 lo first జనరలైజేషన్, జర్నల్ ఎంట్రీస్ నాన్న. జర్నల్ ఎంట్రీస్ లో 3 ఉన్నాయి కదా రూల్స్. ఒకటేమో పర్సనల్ అకౌంట్, నామినల్ అకౌంట్, రియల్ అకౌంట్. పర్సనల్ అకౌంట్ డెబిట్ ద గివర్, డెబిట్ ద రిసీవర్, క్రెడిట్ ద గివర్. రియల్ అకౌంట్ డెబిట్ వాట్ కమ్స్ ఇన్, క్రెడిట్ వాట్ గోస్ అవుట్. నామినల్ ఇన్కమ్, నామినల్ అకౌంట్ డెబిట్ ఆల్ ఎక్స్పెన్సెస్ అండ్ లాసెస్, క్రెడిట్ ఆల్ ఇన్కమ్స్ అండ్ గెయిన్స్. దీన్ని బట్టి జనరలైజ్ ది ఫాలోయింగ్ ట్రాన్సాక్షన్స్. Prepare the ledger. Ledger is we open the accounts, isn't it? That is the second set of problems. Preparing the trial balance in the mid you got, isn't it? Even the question paper was a big blunder of unit mid. Andike I was liberal to give you the marks. The setter wasn't prepared to give the absolute procedure of what we normally follow. She gave all the 3 questions of unit 3 as well. But even I was liberal to value it. And the last set is final accounts. Final accounts, the first account enti? What is the first account?
Trading account.
Trading account, what you will get? Gross profit. Gross profit తీసుకొచ్చి we prepare the profit and loss account to get net profit. Net profit తీసుకొచ్చి capital కి యాడ్ చేసి balance sheet చేస్తాం. ఏంటి ma'am, can we expect any other theory question other than ratios? అదే నాన్న funds flow, cash flow. 502 roll number. Yeah. Funds flow, cash flow is the second thing. Unit 4 lo concepts, conventions, double entry bookkeeping, accounting equation. What is accounting equation? Assets is equal to liabilities plus capital. Yeah. And you have to, big question koste assets emem ostayi, liabilities emem ostayi, capital lo emem chestam avanni raayalnam. Okay. Inka any doubts you have? Shall we wind up of now? Inka mana doubts unte you can call anytime. Don't hesitate. Okay, till 3:30 we'll be in the college. 3:30 tarvata, after 4:30 or 5 you can call. Is it clear, Nana? All the best. Prepare well and write well. Shall we wind up of now? Anything else? Shall I conclude? Unit 5, 562 roll number. Nana, Unit 5 lo enti? Ide kada ratio analysis e kada Unit 5. Ratio analysis and funds flow and cash flow. రెండు మీకు ఇప్పుడు ఫార్వర్డ్ చేశాను. Okay. Anything else? So I'll just wind up off now. That should cover it, ma'am. In Nana, I didn't get it. 562. On your mic, if not. Yeah. It will cover both. Unit 5 constitutes ratio analysis, which I have forwarded, plus funds flow and cash flow. Ratio analysis 60%, funds flow, cash flow 40%. Okay, what I suggest is prepare full ratio analysis, try all the problems from all in one. Second, prepare theory of funds flow and cash flow. In worst and worst situation, you can attempt the theory. Okay.